From his ridiculous take on paying taxes to joining LIV Golf while criticizing the Saudi government. Here's why people hate Phil Mickelson. Now, before we start, I think we can all agree that the dude's been a controversial figure throughout his golfing career, and it's not like he's going to stop anytime soon either. In fact, Lefty is arguably one of the most polarizing figures in the sport. On one hand, you can't doubt the dude's incredible talent.
If I'm able to come out on top, I am the worst guy to lose to, because I will come up with ways to
He's got 45 PGA Tour wins and 6 majors, including 3 Masters. Not to mention, he became the oldest major winner in the history of golf when he won the PGA Championship in 2021 at the age of 50. Make no mistake, he's a remarkable golfer. Plus, his performance during the 2023 Masters was also incredible for a 52-year-old. And yet, despite all the goodwill he's earned on the course over the years, it's almost like he has a knack for walking into controversy when he doesn't need to. Oh, and it's not even the fact that he's rude or anything, because most of his fan interactions and such have been pretty sweet.
Look at the beautiful shot that Garcia hit in here, so Mickelson is eyeing A2 and makes it.
So why do people still hate someone who, in theory, should be a legend of the game? Well, it's simple really. He just doesn't have a filter on the things he says sometimes. Seriously, time and time again, he's managed to land himself in trouble over some opinion or statement during a press conference. Now, I'm sure a lot of golf players have controversial opinions, but the difference is that they keep those to themselves. Mickelson, on the other hand, is never afraid to speak his mind, which arguably isn't exactly smart when you're so famous. Oh, and he's gotten canceled over it plenty of times. Take his controversial rant about paying taxes, for instance.
I think that it was insensitive to talk about publicly to those people who are not able to find a job, that are struggling paycheck.
Now, it's been almost a decade since he said this, but it was easily one of the most bizarre moments of his career. After all, literally no one asked him about any of it, and he just started talking about money and taxes out of the blue, right after a PGA Tour event. He talked about how his life would change drastically because of the increase in federal and state taxes, saying that if you added everything up, his tax rate was 62%. Of course, by drastic changes, he meant relocating away from California and moving to a state with fewer taxes. I mean, you don't even have to guess why people got mad over this. It was because Lefty earned over $60 million that year. All the news headlines were full of stuff like, mega rich golfer complains about losing some of his millions. Oof. Whether you like the guy or not, it was still a pretty dumb thing to say out loud. That's just something you say to your accountant, not the entire world. Oh, and Mickelson was being grilled on social media so much that he actually had to come out and apologize for his statement. He said that finances and taxes are a personal matter, and that he shouldn't have made his opinions about them public. I apologize to those I've upset and assure you that I intend to not let it happen again, he added. But of course, there's a reason why he was so worried about losing his money in the first place. After all, Mickelson's gotten a ton of flack for his gambling addiction over the years too. He's admitted himself just how damaging this whole thing has been to both his career and personal life. So it's a bit strange that people hate him for it. But still, he's a massive golf player and a role model for many, which is maybe why you'd expect him to behave a little better publicly.
Yeah, I don't have an opinion yet. I don't understand. I have a lot of questions about how it works. Like, who does it affect the most? Does it affect everybody the same percentage?
Sometimes, the whole gambling thing would get so bad that Lefty would actually withdraw from golf events and just disappear. Also, according to Alan Shipnuck, the 52-year-old lost around $40 million to bets between 2010 and 2014. Yeah, that's a lot of money. Oh, and his habit got so bad at one point that he actually started to place bets on practice rounds for golf tournaments too. But of course, things have been much better recently, and he admits it's an embarrassing thing to carry with you. So maybe we just need to stop criticizing the guy for this one. What arguably does deserve some criticism, however, is Mickelson's decision to join LIV Golf. Now, obviously, Lefty. You're already gonna go into a lot of people's bad books when you join the controversial breakaway league. But Lefty is arguably the most hated guy on the roster. Why? Well, for starters, he was the poster boy for Greg Norman's upstart circuit when he joined, making him the first big name to leave the PGA Tour. In fact, many people blame him for opening the floodgates for others like Cam Smith and Brooks Koepka as well, which of course has led to this divide in the game. Not to mention, people also think he ruined his career and reputation by prioritizing money over legacy. Let's be fair, they're not wrong, are they? Obviously, money wasn't the only thing that pushed him toward that decision. After all, we all know about Mickelson's long feud with the PGA Tour, as he's complained multiple times about how the tour doesn't pay fairly or how they have a monopoly over players' media rights.
There will always be a need and a want for traditional golf.
Even though he was right about some of these things, like the low prize money, since the tour did change it later, his overall animosity toward the PGA means that a lot of loyalists, like Rory McIlroy and Tiger Woods, just don't like him. In fact, in the Netflix documentary Full Swing, McIlroy even laughs at the fact that Lefty's dropping down the rankings after joining LIV. With that said, a lot of people think that Mickelson is a hypocrite. Why, you ask? Well, it's because he criticized the Saudi government while being on their payroll, which is a fair criticism if you ask me. In fact, Lefty actually landed himself in hot water when he was asked about his opinion on it after joining LIV Golf, rather than skirting around the topic like some of his other Saudi League colleagues. He called the Saudi government scary and even talked about the horrible human rights record, saying that they execute people over there for being gay. What's more, Mickelson went so far as to admit that the LIV Golf League was sports washing. Oh, and don't forget, he was joining the circuit while saying these things, which is just baffling. For him, reshaping the way the PGA Tour operates was more important than all of these issues. Of course, he got a lot of flack for it, and people have been against him ever since. But while many people hate him for his controversial opinions, Mickelson has some personal beef with golfers too. LIV golfer Pat Perez, for instance, used to be one of his best friends back in the day, but now he says that he hates Lefty more than anyone else. What's fascinating is that the exact reason for their feud isn't known, so all we've got are some rumors, which suggests that it had something to do with Pat's wife, Ashley. Apparently, Mickelson deeply offended Perez and his wife and even apologized to them afterward. However, according to Pat, Phil's actions were unforgivable. In fact, he went as far as to say that what Mickelson did couldn't have been unintentional, and that it was super hurtful to see a guy he trusted cross the line like that. Oof. I don't even want to guess what he did there, but knowing the guy, he probably said something wildly inappropriate without giving it a second thought. That's Lefty for you. And on that note, this was why people hate Phil Mickelson.
Any PGA Tour matters, I'm not going to discuss publicly at this time.